Welcome, everyone, to the December 20th Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting for the town of Barrington. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Please join me, if you prefer, in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Samaco present.
Flanagan present.
Hardikoff present. We have two continued cases before us. I'd like to ask the board's permission to move number 2 to number 1 for the sake of efficiency. I need a second.
Second.
And roll call vote, please.
Samaco, aye.
Flanagan, aye.
Hardikoff, aye. Thank you all. In reference to case number 24932 and 250133 NR 23, special exception for owner DWS ×2 Holding LLC, a request by the applicant for a special exception from Article 19, Table 1, Table of Uses for mixed-use development in a neighborhood residential district to allow for mixed-use development conforming to the requirements as defined in the zoning ordinance. Location is at 270 Beauty Hill Road, map 249, lot 32, map 250, lot 133, on a total of 72.04 acres in the neighborhood residential district. Request that the board, from the applicant, that the board will continue the case until January 17th, while the zoning board legal department continues to explore the need for relief based on the current application and would like that continuance as well. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Samaco, aye.
Flanagan, aye.
Hardikoff, aye. On to continued case 233, 26, 58, and 59. RC 23, special exception for owner St. Hilaire Holdings LLC. Request by the applicant for a special exception from Article 2, Section 1.2, Section 4.1.2 lot frontage to allow access to map 223, lots 26 through 58, 26 through 59. From the adjacent joint driveway off Signature Drive, map 223, lot 26-57. Instead of the required frontage on Calif Highway, Route 125, on a total of 8.77 acres in the Regional Commercial Zoning District by Scott Cole Beals Associates, PLLC, 70 Portsmouth Ave, 3rd floor, Stratton, New Hampshire, 03885. Before we begin to hear the case presented, there are just 3 seated members. We have illnesses galore. Would you like to continue to January?
No. Just to make it clear, it has to be unanimous.
You're comfortable with that?
I am.
Okay. Please, I'm going to ask you to present the need for special exception. I am going to ask our town planner to read information that we had requested at the last hearing so that we enter facts in the case. Go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Scott Cole from Beals Associates. Here with me is John O'Neill, who is the developer of the premises and the adjoining lot, which is actually across from the driveway from the town hall. At the last meeting, I gave a description of the proposed relief that we are requesting for the special use. We have a condition and a proposal here where we have a proposed driveway that would provide access to proposed buildings and such, not be along the lot's frontage, which is Route 125. I expected that that would entail some kind of improvements in a long process with the Hampshire DOT. The proposed buildings on the 2 lots next door are the exact same style and feature of what's being built today across the street. I believe it was asked by Madam Chair that the fire and police departments have time at least to review the plan again and advise their opinion on the design and see if they had any issues. At the same time, I believe John has met with both departments himself and came to the same conclusion. I believe that neither of those two really had any comments and The biggest one being, Rick, Chief Walker reviewed it and said he did not have any. There was a secondary letter, an old one and then a secondary letter with a comment made from our town's road agent, Mark. Mark is actually here this evening, so he can speak for himself. So I'll let him do that. Other than that, I will. Questions.
Anyone have questions?
I didn't see it in the paperwork that you submitted, the units that are upstairs. What's your estimation on number of cars per unit? Are they 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom?
Yeah, they're relatively small. Car-wise, they're 1.5, I think.
Okay.
We have actually more. Just to note, to bring everyone up to date, this is a different plan that I used last time. This is actually a plan that I created for the town. There was some confusion on their E911 address, which I believe relates to actual orientation of the traffic and how they number the. So I actually created this for the assessing department and thought it would be better to bring it this evening. So
This guy's.
Recommended traffic route, the red would be 2 lanes.
Here.
Originally, Mark had concerns, thought that the traffic was
This guy's mumbling.
existing buildings, which we agree is not a good idea. It was never intended to be there. There's our private garages in the back, can hang out there, wash their cars. It's just not an ideal situation. Red line being the ingress and egress of vehicles coming in and out using drive. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Should have gone into town hall.
Could you tell me what the
And he-
turning radius is? If a fire truck is to drive between the two buildings, what the turning radius is at the end of the building?
Basically, the geometry for these 2 new buildings mimic the first one, which is it all meets WB 50, which was already reviewed and approved by the town's engineer and the fire department.
So the
So
turning,
a regular fire truck can go anywhere on the property around these buildings without hitting any parked cars or anything like that.
currently, the very first building that's opposite us over here, that roadway as you're pulling in, the roadway to the left would not exist right now, correct? It's not there,
This,
the next building up. So the building that exists right now where you have red, that does not exist right now, correct? That roadway?
well, this is all gravel.
Mm-hmm.
The building's being built, the garages are all finished.
Yes, I'm speaking to the double red lines.
Yep.
That is in place right now?
Gravels are in place,
Up to
yeah.
gravel.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not paved?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then on the adjacent properties to the back, to the top, above those 2 buildings that you have on those proposed, there appears to be a roadway going in there on that property currently.
Down here,
Nope,
the subdivision road. This road?
but it appears to actually be on this property.
Yeah, there's definitely no access to this, I think.
It's close. A little bit of history, just to back up a second. We're building the 58 lots out here.
Mhm.
Subsequently, Joe Falzone offered me this lot out front, and we're moving our own office there. We have an office in Dover and an office here.
Mm-hmm.
We own several hundred apartments and
Mhm.
we manage apartments. So we like doing apartments and we like the village effect. And we're 3 out of those 8 units, we're gonna have our office there for construction.
Mhm.
So obviously, we are backed up on the top side. You see Signature Drive, there are homes across the street from that.
Mm-hmm.
But the rule in town is that I cannot have access from a residential road out, different zone.
No, I
So
understand.
we came in when we came in, and the thought process was, we like it, it's nice, we're gonna create a small village. We have smaller uses in our commercial, and we have residential above. But coming off of 125 isn't the effect that I wanna have. And so it's uniquely, and it happens in a lot of communities, unfortunately, I've built in 43 of them, so I've seen it all. Access and frontage are not the same in a lot of places. So I have access coming in off of Signature Drive, but my frontage exists on 125.
Correct.
And that's where it gets gray. It's allowed in a lot of communities. This community, it's not. So that's what I'm here for, is that exception right there.
Mm-hmm.
I have no desire to go off of 125. We've already made the entrance off of 125. We've slowed it down. There hasn't been an accident out here. When you hear it, feels good. I don't think another access coming out off of 125 is a good idea at all.
So your initial plan with the 8 units that became mixed use, those were originally retail on the very first plan that you had presented?
Correct.
And at what point in your process did they become mixed use?
No, they were always mixed use. And the mixed use is commercial on the first floor, which is, the use I'm looking at, beauty salon, and nail salon and lawyer or whatever. Second floor is residential, so that's the mixed use. The whole first floor is commercial.
No, I understand what mixed use is, sorry. When I originally saw these plans, probably 4 or 5 years ago, that was, there was not a building and then a building. There was a strip mall of retail that you originally had presented. When did it become mixed use?
This is
Well, I
all-
think if I may, I think what you're thinking is in order to actually get our DOT permit,
Mm-hmm,
we basically had to take an educated guess
mm-hmm,
to get our permit for the driveway on Signature Road,
mm-hmm.
what may go there. At the time, Mr. Falzone thought he had a developer that would put that kind of use there.
Okay,
Which is actually more traffic consuming
mm-hmm,
than what's there now.
okay.
That was, we actually had to do, we knew the town hall, but we actually had concepts on all the remaining commercial lots.
Mhm.
And we had to propose that to DOT. And they just basically put a footnote, any change, including these lots, we have to go back and notify them.
Okay. How long would your process be if you have to go before DOT for those?
For these two here,
Mhm.
if I had to similarize it with other projects, it'd be a good year.
Okay.
And that's only time-wise, that's not.
And your estimation is 1.5 cars per unit, so 36 for the residential. What's your estimate for the number of cars for the retail on the bottom floor?
So under office space, which is categorized on the bottom, is 456 square feet per building, at 1 per 300 requires 12 spaces
Per building?
per building.
So
We-
30, so 76 additional cars entering and exiting from that driveway.
We're providing 16 internal, because they're garages. So there'll be internal spaces, which are mostly storage.
Okay.
32 external.
The 16, the additional 8 garage stalls for each of these buildings being rented out separate to the residential. So that would add how many more cars? So we're at 72 and then another 24?
Well, if you would only be able to park in front of the building if you own, I believe, the unit.
Understood. So we've covered that you have 36 cars for residential, potential 36 cars for the retail, and now we're talking another 24 cars for those garage stalls?
Residential, we got 2 per unit. So we got 16 units, that's 32.
No, on that roadway,
Yeah.
there would be 24 units of housing exiting
Oh,
that
you're
driveway.
including the other 50.
Mhm.
I didn't
Yep.
realize.
Well, in order to calculate the traffic flow, we need to get to how many additional cars would be coming down Signature and exiting. So
Yep.
I've got 72 between the housing units
And the garage.
and the retail, and then another 24 for the garages.
I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know how you would calculate the garages, because it wouldn't be coming and going on a normal basis. Somebody may store something in there and show up once a month, once a year. We have provided the internal as 2 spaces. And especially on a new building, that's all they get. They don't get an external space.
Okay. When you calculated the neighborhood of the, is it 50 homes through the top of Signature and around September? I'm sorry?
58.
58. Do you calculate that traffic flow based on 1.5 per house as well?
You know, that becomes a daily traffic of a 4-bedroom home, which I believe is somewhere around, they estimate it with children. It's far or higher. Like 10 trips per day per hour.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this would be about a 15% increase in traffic coming down and off of Signature.
Yes, but it
Okay.
doesn't go into the neighborhood, and it's only 2 minutes.
Okay. Is there anything else that you feel you need to present? And are there any other questions from the board? Alex?
Regarding the traffic flow, is it going to be one way around the buildings, or are you planning on having two directional traffic all the way around both buildings?
It's 2-directional, with, there'll be proposed signs keeping, like if somebody's going here and they have no business back of the first, so they'll follow the red till they get signage added, talking with Mark Rogan, adding certain kinds of signage that would direct people that are not going out back where they're not intended to go. And Mark had another idea.
Okay, and then one final question. I see marked on what I have here, which I recognize differs slightly from what you have, that the back side of the retail and residential building is marked as no parking fire lane. Is that only on the back, or does it wrap around the sides? Is there gonna be any sort of street parking, or is it only in the spaces?
For the fire lane, it was just out back, adjacent to the building.
Very good. Anything else you feel you need to present?
Please.
Pardon me. Is there anyone that would like to comment on this? If you'd like to comment online, you simply move your mouse across your screen. In the upper midpoint of your screen, you should see a hand. You can click on that hand in order to alert us that you'd like to speak.
For opening public comment?
Mhm. Anyone else publicly here? Mark, we are going to call you up in reference to presenting for the town, but so at this time, I'm going to close public comment in reference to case 22326, 58 and 59 RC, I'm sorry, yes, no, yes, sorry, RC 25 special exception. Mark, can we, as the subject matter expert on roads for the town of Barrington, can we ask you to present your findings in reference to the application so that we're presenting just facts? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so none of this really directly concerns the highway department at all. Just want to make that perfectly clear.
Because it will be privately snow
Right,
removal
right.
and maintenance,
So
and
this is
yes,
just the road agent making observations.
certainly.
It's not an opinion. It's nothing to do with the highway department. The thing that really scares me is the amount of traffic that's going to be coming through here.
Mm-hmm,
It's way better than putting it through here.
mm-hmm,
No question, no question. It's 100% improvement. But there's still going to be a lot of traffic in and out through here. The thing that scares me is these cars right here backing out into it
mm-hmm,
from here.
from the retail.
Right.
Mhm.
If they can put a fair amount of space between those cars backing out and those two lanes coming in, it would help.
Mm-hmm,
A stop sign or two in this area, just to slow people down,
mm-hmm,
be a help. Delineation in here of where the parking area ends and the lane starts, or where the lane is. I guess their plan is to kind of make this curve a little less sharp,
tight, yep.
right? One other little thing that just is what it is, the post office for that whole project is right here across from that entrance.
Oh,
So if you get 3 or 4 people getting their mail at the same time,
mm-hmm,
they're not all parked within the parking area for that post office. Some of them are hung out into the middle of the road for just
Understood.
3 seconds so they can go get the mail.
mm-hmm.
But it's a concern.
For
Also,
pedestrians getting out of their cars, okay.
there's a school bus that drops kids off in that area, backs into
Okay,
that other road. It escapes me right now what it is, but that, for the first left-hand side above the project that they're doing, September.
oh,
So the bus backs in there, comes back down, drops the kids off in that area.
understood.
in that
Okay.
area. So there's a lot going on there.
Yep. Okay,
Um, In a perfect world, it would be great to say, well, let's keep from doing another curb cut on Route 125.
mm-hmm,
At face value, it looks great. But when you start figuring the amount of cars that are gonna be coming out of those two other units.
Yep.
It scares me.
okay.
So, is this the best bad idea that's available? Probably it is.
Best bad idea that is
You know,
available.
Um,
Okay,
But it's a concern.
okay,
So I'd just rather bring it out now than wish we'd done it later.
understood. Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from board members?
I just have a follow-up question for you gentlemen, based on that commentary. What is the buffer, if any, between the back of the stalls for the first building, the one that's already under construction, and the right edge of the road?
Currently, it's set up. Parking stalls are 18. I believe the aisle is 30 compared to 20. So it has a little bit more of a buffer than this.
On the front of the building where the red lines are drawn, we got 65 feet from the building to the slope that drops off at that point. We got, if you park an 18-foot spot, that still leaves you with 30 some odd feet, 6 feet, 47 feet left.
Yeah, there's green space. I mean, if it were required, we could certainly widen that area.
Well, I have widened it with the gravel, so it's pretty wide out there now. You're 65 feet from the building to where it drops off, so I want to put a guardrail there, and that's certainly enough flow to allow everybody to get through there. And to be delineated, so we use Sundance sign, they delineate a lot, they do all the, they call it wayfinding signs, they do them, water, stone, and all these, but one thing you have to realize that the way the future is now, if you take a ride down Stratham or Exeter or Seabrook, you have one point of access in, and you can travel for 3 miles before you come back out again, because everything is loose in that way. That's the new design. They're not accessing the road on all these curb cuts. They're trying to do things in a different manner. We're just trying to create a little village out there, to be quite honest with you. We don't anticipate a lot of flow. We own it, and if it doesn't work, it's not good for us. So we sort of go in and think this makes a lot of sense.
Any other questions, comments?
What hours do you foresee most of those businesses operating?
We do a lot of this in Dover, on, right on Portland Ave. And, the Pilates, nothing's at night, the photography, they're all 8 to 5 for the most part. And then you're seeing homeowners come home at 5. So quite frankly, what you see a lot of it, which could happen, but we're not looking at it, it's redundant parking, day, night parking, but we don't need it.
And the mail that he was talking about is just mail for people that are in the apartments
Yeah, we
or
have a
and the
pull-off. I
businesses?
think we've got we have a parking lane off the side of the road, so there's definitely, it could be 11 feet off the edge of the road, so it's not on the edge of the road, there's another 11 foot, and then we have the, stall for the mail.
Yeah, I think what Mark was trying to explain is the subdivision. Drive in, you go past the town hall.
Are you going to be eliminating that when the road is accepted by the
I've got a
town
beautiful
in
house
2
built
years?
on it. It's pretty nice in there, and it's a
So
nice
it's going to
neighborhood.
stay even if the road is accepted?
Yep.
Hmm. Okay,
And it precedes the fire cistern, so we tied the driveways together. So if the fire department does go in, they're gonna have the opportunity to put trucks there.
yeah, could you illustrate where the fire cisterns are on that property or proposed on these 3 properties?
All right,
3 buildings?
Well, there's one already that exists out in Signature.
Mm-hmm,
And one right
mm-hmm.
below.
Okay.
Too close to the building of structure fire Rick wants.
Mm-hmm.
And the building is gonna be sprinkled, so those are all sprinkler buildings. We have tanks set up there. There's a community water system, community septic, and sprinkled the entire building.
Good to know. At this time, would anyone like to make a motion? I can proceed with one. We can see how you feel about that. So certain development proposals and usage of land require approval of a special exception from the Barrington Zoning Board of Adjustments. Uses and activities of land requiring special exception are neither permitted by right or prohibited by right, but rather are permitted conditionally. That is permitted only if the ZBA finds that certain conditions of law can be fulfilled. I make a motion to deny the special exception for case 223, 26, 58, and 59 RC 23 special exception because of the creation of traffic hazards or substantial traffic congestion that would result in the vicinity of the proposed development. Since between 48 and 96 plus additional travelers will be entering and exiting from Signature Way on roads that were developed to accommodate less travelers than that. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Samaco, aye.
Flanagan, nay.
Hardikoff, aye. Do I have a motion for approval? It's on you.
So I would make a motion to approve the special exception for case number 223-26-58, 59-RC-23 special exception, because, let's read through these. There is no detriment to property values in the vicinity of the proposed development that will result on account of the location or scale of buildings, structures, parking areas, or other access ways, the emission of odors, smoke, gas, dust, noise, glare, heat, vibration, or other pollutants, or slightly outdoor storage of equipment, vehicles, or other materials, because state facts that support this conclusion. No hazards will be caused to the public or adjacent properties on account of the potential fire, explosion, or release of toxic materials, because state facts that support this conclusion. No creation of a traffic safety hazard or substantial traffic congestion that would result in the vicinity of the proposed development. No excessive demand on municipal services and facilities, including but not limited to waste disposal, police and fire protection, and schools. And the proposed use will not result in the degradation of existing surface and groundwater quality standards, nor will it have adverse effects on the natural functions of wetlands on that site that would result in the loss of significant habitat or flood control protections.
Do I have a second? So seeing as I have no second on that, I can't move forward with a vote. Would you like to share with us what you would like us to do with a ZBA of 3?
What you should do is someone should second it for the sake. What you should do is someone should second it for the sake of voting, even if you plan on voting against it. Just because you second it doesn't mean you're voting for it.
Then I will
So,
second the motion.
Well, then when you vote, if it's not unanimous that you support it, then it's a denial because you only have 3 members.
Understood. I'm seconding the motion. Roll call vote, please.
Samaco, no.
Flanagan, aye.
And Hardikoff, no. Thank you. Next before us is a new application for case 23988V23 variance. Owner Michelle Stash, request by the applicant for 2 variances from Article 4, Section 4.1.1, Table 2 The front and side setback requirement in the village district to allow a residential garage of 24.5 and 23.2 to be constructed. The proposed front setback of 5.7 where 40 feet is required. That's tight. And the side setback of 16.2 where 30 is required. The location is at 55 Kate Road, map 239, lot 88, on a total of 0.65 acres in the village district. Presented by Chris Berry of Berry Surveying and Engineering, 335 Second Crown Point Road, Barrington, New Hampshire, 03825. Do we have on file permission for Mr. Berry to speak on behalf of the applicant?
I can verify in the application. One moment.
Yes, you do.
Okay, we always do. Thank you. Because there are only 3 seated members of the ZBA at this time, would you prefer to continue to January this case?
I would.
Okay. At the request of the applicant, we will continue the case to January 17th. And does the board have to agree to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Roll call vote, please.
Samaco, aye.
Flanagan, aye.
And Hardikoff, aye.
Thank you.
Sorry, we'll see you in January.
See you then.
Next up is your meeting minutes from the last meeting dated for November 15th. Could I have a motion for approval of the meeting minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes as drafted for November 15th, 20.
Do I have a second?
I second.
And roll call vote, please.
Samaco, aye.
Flanagan, aye.
Hardikoff, aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn as of 7:32 p.m.
Second?
I second.
And roll call vote, please.
Samaco, aye.
Flanagan, aye.
And Hardikoff, aye. Thank you all for attending the December 20th Zoning Board of Adjustment hearing.